Well, good morning and welcome to today's webinar, Social Media 401, Joining Uncomfortable Real Estate Conversations for Advantage. Before we get started, as always, I'd just like to confirm that everyone can see the screen, which says the title of today's webinar, and hear my voice okay. If you look over at your go-to webinar console, you should have a question box, and if you can type right into that question box and just say, yes, Wade, I can hear you, you're loud and clear, we can see the screen, that would be very much appreciated. See some comments coming in there that you can indeed hear me. Thank you so much for taking the time to do that. Well, my name is Wade Patterson, and I'm the social media and communications coordinator with RE/MAX of Western Canada. And if you ever have any social media or communications related questions, you can always reach me here at our head office in Kelowna. But today's webinar is a real treat, as one of our partners, 2x4, has offered to lend their insight as a leader in online reputation. So in November 2015, RE/MAX of Western Canada announced a partnership with the Vancouver-based 2x4 as a way to help RE/MAX agents build their online reputations in a unique and meaningful way. Adam Lerner, the co-founder and CEO of 2x4, is here to talk with us about how we may be actually missing an opportunity by sitting on the sidelines and ignoring uncomfortable real estate conversations that are unfolding on social media. So this topic's an interesting one, as Adam and I have engaged in a certain level of healthy debate over the pros and cons of getting involved in these conversations on social media. However, I can truly say that Adam brings some excellent points to the table, and I think you'll find today's message valuable. So for a little bit of background, 2x4 is an internet media company based in Vancouver focused exclusively on real estate. Prior to founding 2x4, Adam led large-scale research projects on the future of Canadian realtors and consumers, and has been a frequent keynote speaker at real estate events. 2x4 emerged directly out of research and the clear need to help real estate agents and brokers control their online reputations as more and more real estate activity is moving online. Previously, Adam spent a decade in design and brand consultancies across the US and Canada as a strategic planner. He has an MBA from the University of Texas at Austin. So at this point, I'd like to officially welcome Adam to the webinar and hand the mic over to him. And if you have any problems hearing Adam, please type into the question box as well. So Adam, over to you.
Hello everyone, and thank you so much for being with us this morning. It is a real treat, as Wade said, to be with you and talk about a topic that we've been thinking about and working in for some time, and really excited to engage with you in the content of this question around how you join and whether you should join uncomfortable real estate conversations on social media. And we will make sure to leave a few minutes at the end for questions, although of course open to you typing questions into the questions box where you type to Wade that you could hear things, as well as feel free to tweet or include posts on Facebook. My personal Twitter account is AdamLER or at 2x4, as you can see here. So feel free to grab things from your screen, tweet about them as we go, and we can also answer questions and have conversations on social media as very appropriate to the topic. Before I do launch into the presentation, I do want to acknowledge a couple of significant events that at least I've been watching very closely on social media and sit very close to our hearts. One is just taking a moment to recognize what's happening right now in Fort McMurray and the incredible devastation and how horrible that is to watch unfold. And per this conversation about how do we, we're thinking about and struggling with, well, how do we essentially take part in being able to be empathetic online while not being there with everything that's going on. And the second is the incredible news that came out of the United States last night, which is about the Donald Trump's win, which is also another uncomfortable conversation, probably for many of us, and not a real estate conversation, but one that you probably woke up this morning or watching last night unfold on your social media feed. The point being that we have all kinds of uncomfortable conversations that are coming up on social media all the time, and we have to choose what our role is in those conversations. And this webinar is specifically to talk about your role as real estate professionals and how to participate in those real estate conversations on social. So it should be no surprise to you that the vast majority of real estate professionals are already on social media. And in fact, most of them are on multiple forms of social media. This is entitled Social Media 401 for a reason. Our assumption is that you are already on social media. You have perhaps been on social media for quite a long time, and you're looking at the essentially advanced ways to utilize social media in order to grow your business and perhaps your profile. So I think this recognition, first of all, that being on social media, having a Facebook business page, having a Google Plus page, even posting is not unique. And I think that what is the real opportunity is the unique ways in which you use social media to drive attention to yourself and your differentiation, as well as the brands that you're trying to build, both as agents and as brokerages and even at the franchise level. And when asked, and this is data that came out of the National Association of Realtors, NAR, in the U.S. back in fall of 2015, when asked why real estate agents were on social media, it's interesting to see what the numbers are. So the primary one was, the topmost one was visibility and exposure. And so 81% of people said that that was important. And the question for us as we think about this is, what are you getting visibility and exposure to? So are you choosing to use that visibility space in which to expose your listings? Are you using it to expose your unique attributes about what makes you the best real estate professional for a given neighborhood, a given market, a given product type, etc.? And I think thinking about more strategically what you use these moments of exposure for on social media is really what we want to concentrate on today. Because as you can see also on this other side is 51% of the people use social media to promote listings. And in fact, we're privileged to be able to see many real estate agents' accounts because we follow them on various forms of social media, and there's some agents that we see that are exclusively or nearly exclusively posting about listings. And if you watch those listings from a consumer standpoint, you could understand that that is not necessarily the content that I want to see or engage with on my social media feed, nor does it help me to understand your differentiation as a professional. So we're going to take a poll now, and Wade and I did this in our last webinar that we did in the fall. So we're going to ask the first question, which is, has recent media coverage damaged our professional reputation? So you can choose, yes, you can figure it out. Okay, I'll wait just 15 seconds for additional votes to come in. Okay, we were up to 58% voting. There's 75% voting. And I'll go ahead and close the poll. So out of those poll results, 11% said yes, it has damaged the professional reputation. 33% said no, and 56% said unsure, which is really interesting because Wade and I, in preparing for this webinar, talked about how you guys would be answering this question. And it's fascinating that the vast majority of you would answer either no or unsure. So that's good that you perhaps don't think that it's damaged the reputation of real estate professionals. Interestingly, it's not when I sit with lots of agents or talk with them across multiple Western provinces as 2x4 clients, that is not the sentiment that we get when people sit with us in person. We are hearing over and over again about the challenges that the recent media attention, particularly in British Columbia, has cast on the real estate profession, and how even those that are perhaps the most trusted from, say, past clients are being scrutinized in a way that they hadn't previously because of these media reports. So as you're probably aware, because you're on social media, real estate is daily front page news and party chatter. It seems like more so than ever in the past four months or so that between the market, what's happening in the market, what's happening with the violations and the coverage on shadow flipping and assignments, what's happening with FinTrack, media is now sourcing more and more stories about real estate, and in that way we're seeing more and more industry news that I think is, instead of hitting once a month about what's happening with market data, we're seeing daily big breaking stories that are coming out about real estate. And so one of the things I want you to think about is when you're at a dinner party or with friends at a barbecue on the weekend, do you end up chatting about real estate? And because at least in our experience, real estate is everywhere cocktail party conversation right now. Everyone wants to talk about real estate, and as a professional, I'm guessing that for many of you, you're ending up in these scenarios where you're in social settings chatting about real estate almost every time. And do you chat about real estate, what's going on in the real estate market here when you're meeting with prospective clients and the news that's coming out? Are you having engaged conversations with them about the main media pieces? So the question is, so why are those conversations also not happening here? And this is where the idea came about for this webinar, is that we, with 2x4, but also in conjunction with many other organizations, have been leading large discussions on social media now for the past 6 months around certainly some of the media stories that have been coming out. And what is incredibly obvious for those of us in the conversations is that there are very few, if any, real estate professionals involved in those conversations. And so there will be huge posts that have a large number of shares, reactions, comments, and it is nearly impossible to find a real estate agent inside of those conversations. And I want to talk about why I think that it's important that you are involved in those conversations. So if I said to you rationally, if there was this place where there was a large real estate audience that was sitting online waiting for content every day, you would say, well, that's great. I'm looking for people that are warm leads in an essential market to be able to talk about real estate with and be able to showcase my expertise with. But as I said, online we do have that place, and the social networks actually provide this incredible venue for audience and engagement that I think is unparalleled, especially as the engagement piece keeps getting enriched. And yet, it's not yet being utilized as a way to build out individuals' reputations. And there's no doubt that the media certainly gets the opportunity space. You know, as I said, almost every day it seems like we're waking up to new media stories that are being broken out of the editorial rooms of places like the Globe and Mail, starting with this so-called shadow flipping story back in early February. Then we have coverage of money laundering and the FinTrack debate. We have coverage here in BC around what's happening with penalties and a potential ban on double ending in real estate. In Manitoba, we have the February coverage of a real estate broker and his penalty amount. We have petitions going on. This one was on change.org with 28,000 supporters around restricting foreign investment in Greater Vancouver real estate. So, and it's not just the media that gets it. The politicians also clearly get the opportunity space. We had a couple weeks back at the beginning of March, our Chrissy Clark, taking a very large stage with the backdrop of Cole Harbour, talking about how she was going to essentially start taking a very different stance and becoming essentially a regulator to what is a self-regulating industry because of what she considered was an essential necessity for her as a regulator. And then we also have a MLA in Point Grey here named David Eby, for those of you that are not in Vancouver, who has come out very vocally on various sides of the real estate issue and practically every week has a new platform about why real estate is essentially a broken system that needs further and further regulation. And one of those manifestations is that people are starting to gather. And this is actually a gathering that David Eby brought together that was very well covered in advance of the event on social media, as well as during the event, around the restriction of foreign investment, foreign ownership, vacancy rates, affordability. There were 700 people that came out for their evening in March to talk about these kind of critical issues in real estate. And this isn't just one of these issues. These convenings, these are popping up everywhere right now because people are not just talking about it on social media, but they're using social media as a platform to engage people in real-world discussions. And as much as this talk is focused on the value of being involved in social, there is also immense value in being at the real-world events such as this one, where people are talking about issues that are very core to the profession of real estate. So I'm going to open up poll number 2 right now, which is, should you post opinions about topics such as foreign investments, so-called shadow flipping, the FinTrack, the penalties, double ending? Do you think that you should be posting about these kinds of topics on social media? And we're just waiting. That's 25% of the vote. We're up to 42%. And 58%. A couple more votes coming in. That's 67%. So we'll see if I can sway some of your thinking about this, but before the end of the call, which is the vast majority of you either would say no, or that you're considering whether you should be posting about these kinds of issues. And I'm taking from the 13% who said that you should be posting about these kinds of topics, that you are already actively posting. And I would probably say that that's probably representational of the amount of real estate professionals, at least that we see and that we work with, who are actually joining these conversations, approximately 10% or less. So I want to challenge this conversation and start off with a little bit with the big picture and say that from our perspective, reputation is everyone's marketing problem. And as Wade introduced me at the beginning, I had the opportunity to work on a number of large-scale research projects for years leading into before this webinar, looking at specifically the reputation of real estate agents. In fact, I think I cited some of that data in the November webinar, that reputation is the reputation of real estate professionals is essentially a collective problem. It challenges each and every professional in this industry, regardless of how professional you are, because of what the perceptions are, having nothing to do with you, making your life essentially more and more difficult to be trusted by clients. And so if it's a collective problem, and we would say that everybody shares in the ability to, well, they certainly suffer from the consequences of this negative reputation of real estate professionals. But I would say you also have an opportunity to actually have a role in collectively impacting for positive change the role and reputation of real estate professionals. And I want to bring up an interesting social science study. Some of you who know me know I'm a bit of a social science geek. There was a study that was done a number of years ago, back in the 70s, that was done by an economist. And he was really interested in this idea of traffic. So we imagine right now we're the driver sitting behind the Subaru. We're looking at a massive amount of traffic in front of us. We can see that the traffic is also stopped in the oncoming lanes on the other side. And what he identified is, his name is Thomas Schelling, he identified what he called the mattress problem. And because as it turns out in this dilemma, there's a mattress in the road. And the mattress is what's actually stopped traffic. Except we are sitting behind this Subaru here, and so we can't see what is up ahead. But there's a mattress in the middle of the road, and by the time we finally get to the mattress, which could have taken us 30 minutes waiting in traffic, could have taken us a couple of hours, we then have a choice. we have a choice of whether we drive by the mattress, pick up our speed and say, wow, that was a complete waste of time, and but at least we're past the problem. Or do you actually get out of your car, pull to the side, and be the person to pick up the mattress? And these collective problems, you know, of course they were personal. They had personal consequences for you, but they had personal consequences for everyone on both sides of the traffic lanes. And our advice would be to be the person on social media that picks up the mattress. Because even though you are now supposedly out of the woods from this traffic situation, you're past the problem itself. The problem persists for many other people, and it also stands to haunt you in the future because we want more people picking up the mattresses. And when I talked about the media blitz that's going on right now, particularly on social media, I would say that is a roller coaster, and that roller coaster is not new. There's always been news coming out about real estate, good and bad, and we should expect that. But what is new is the way that that news is being disseminated on social media, and that news is being commented on and shared. And I want to use Facebook as strong evidence for the change that has happened, and this change strangely coincided directly when a lot of this news was breaking in February when Facebook introduced something called reactions, which I'll talk more about. The ability to essentially emotionally react in a variety of ways to a post. So they have increased the ways that we can now comment and have dialogue and conversation on posts. And as you can see here, this was a post that incited pretty strong reactions. There were 877 people that were adding reactions, 206 people that were adding comments. This was shared 445 times. This is about a real estate brokerage. That would have not garnered much interest 6 months ago, but now we have people that are very enraged with some localized situations, and if they're not enraged, they're certainly paying attention. So people are paying attention to real estate information in the ways that they haven't previously. And when we think about this, what's happening on social media, and now I want to get into the kind of 401 piece, which is your role in these social media conversations. I want to challenge you to think about social media as a place to differentiate yourself as a professional. Because if you look at it from the consumer perspective as a buyer or seller, there are 100,000 agents in Canada. That is a massive market, and in any given market, even if you're yourself in a smaller market, there are large numbers of real estate agents that in many cases make it quite difficult to be able to choose one real estate agent from another from a consumer perspective and be able to understand what the differences between one and another. And I want to talk about specifically when it comes to millennials. So this is a group that was born between 1980 and 1995, which represents 35% approximately of home buyers. And not only do they represent a large percentage of home buyers, and that was U.S. data, you could see even in, this is using Toronto data because we don't have, unfortunately, this kind of data for Western Canada, or at least I don't know about it. If you have it, please send it to me. That first-time buyers in, say, the city of Toronto make up 60%, and they said the vast majority of those are millennials. And so if you're thinking about what are the things that appeal to a millennial audience, recognizing that you guys are not aiming necessarily exclusively for first-time buyers, but first-time buyers, as you can see here, are also starting to become sellers, first-time sellers, as you can see with this 15%, and that will obviously increase, is that millennials are looking for things that are perhaps a little bit different than other generations. But you can see that this is really important to many audiences. And this piece here, brands that say something about who I am, my values, and where I fit in, is something that 50% of millennials, 38% of older generations responded very positively to. And I want to say that when it comes to even thinking about the distinction between, say, ways that millennials engage with brands or personalities or you as professionals, is perhaps different than the ways that baby boomers would look at it. And this data from Boston Consulting Group shows that the highlighted areas in green of the most important attributes of the individuals. And if we think about the individuals that we choose to work with, I think you could clearly look to these points as being decision-making criteria of who a buyer-seller would choose to pick. And for a millennial, this idea that brand has personality. So if you think of yourself or your social media presence as an individual brand, how do you convey your individual personality online? And so I want to talk about that there's many different ways to participate in what we'll label generally controversial social media conversations. And you can choose to do all of these things. You can choose to do some of them. I would encourage you to do at least one of them. So there's the ways to participate, and I've kind of put these in descending order of least the least impact to the greatest impact, but they're still all impactful, is adding a reaction, sharing or retweeting or reposting, adding a comment, or authoring a post. So as I alluded to a few slides back, Facebook in particular has enabled us now to offer a mode of reactions to the posts that we're seeing come across our feed. And I would be shocked if you're not seeing on a daily or at least a weekly basis breaking kind of real estate news about the industry or about professionals in the industry that don't give you that are opportunities essentially for you to give comments. Now, if you don't feel comfortable giving a comment, you can react to it. And the importance of reacting is because it places you into the conversation. So when you add a reaction, of course, because it's part of a social network, the other people that already follow you will then see that post. So this is a low impact way for you to start participating in a conversation, but start to put a small stamp, personal stamp on the content. The next piece is you can share the content, and so whether this is on Facebook or whether this is on retweeting on Twitter or whether it's reposting on Instagram, you could take content that you think might be relevant, that was relevant to you, and that would be relevant to some of the people that actually follow you, and just share it without comments on top of it. And this was a piece about Berlin that came out, I think, yesterday on Airbnb, which a lot of people are very interested in right now. The next piece before I get into actually commenting is you can take a half measure that if you're really interested in watching conversations, Facebook has something that you may not be aware of, which is if you drop down the top right corner of any post, you can turn on notifications for that post. And what that means is you get to watch the conversation unfold. Facebook will send you notifications as people add new comments, which you can choose whether you want to like them or reply to them, or you can just watch them come by as a way to really understand what is unfolding in terms of these issues. So the next one is you can share and comment. So this is taking an article. In this case, this is a Globe and Mail article. I did get permission from Clinton to post this, where you could comment on top of the article. So the benefit of this is that essentially you are isolating this article to the people that follow you and the people that will share this article of your followers. So you're not commenting on the Globe and Mail's article at this level, so the people that are following, essentially they're participating in that conversation won't see you. This is a way to essentially control who sees your comments on an article, because you're now taking this piece of media and bringing it into your own social circle. And the other way is, which is a different way, is to take that same article that would say be on the Globe and Mail's original post and actually comment there. And that's a very different action, because essentially what happens then is you are participating in a stream of people that have already participated in this conversation. So what that means is that the people that will have commented will typically, depending on their notification settings, will see your reply. They will also, when they go through to read the comments of others, because of the traction of an article like this, which you can see has been shared 17 times, been reacted by around 70 people, those people now have the ability to see your comments, which gives you a much broader footprint. And then the last piece is you can create posts, and this is a post that was done on a blog post by a real estate RE/MAX agent named Elizabeth Dyer about assignments. This is a YouTube video that was talking about the importance of professionals coming out and standing up for the industry's reputation by Alan Stewart, who's a Royal LePage broker. The point being that there's lots of opportunities to also author content if you want to go to that extent. But I don't want you to think you're limited by the ability to author original content. There's lots of ways to participate. And what we've tried to do with our site, which is 2x4, which I'm just going to give you a quick glimpse of, is to provide another venue for these conversations to happen, and for these conversations to be mixed into the typical conversations that happen about real estate that you're probably answering every day. So in the buying a home, actually this is in the community section, we see questions that are, what's the best location for first-time buyers, depending on your sort, being mixed with things like our GST and property tax eroding affordability in BC. And what's important for us is that we are a reputation website, and we're trying to not only build relevant content as an internet media company, but we're trying to showcase the very professionals who know a lot about these subjects. So what we do is throughout 2x4, is we're always isolating and identifying the people behind these comments, because we're trying to bring attention to you and also the differentiation to you about what you stand for, what you know that's different than other real estate agents in your marketplace. And you can see that even on pages like this, we identify on the top right, we identify who the top professionals are in any given sort. And this is based on the number of likes that they've earned on the posts that they've created. We've also got a professionals area of the website that you can sort by all different topics and by geographies, so that people, consumers, buyers and sellers, can find the real estate agents that have expressed the most expertise in the areas that they're interested in. And that is shown by the number of hearts here that they've earned on their number of posts. So we're what I'll call a cross-platform company, meaning we're leading actually way more conversations and discussions on Facebook that we're then bringing onto 2x4 than we do on 2x4 itself. But our goals are the same, which is, number one, to bring relevant conversations about real estate to the general public and provide a venue in which they can discuss them, and ideally discuss them with the professionals who know best. And then the second is to be able to really showcase the reputations of the real estate agents who want to really differentiate their personal brands and express their expertise based on certain product types, certain neighborhoods, etc. So you can see the conversations that we're leading where you saw a glimpse into 2x4. This is an example where the question was going on back in February of whether the BC government should take an active role in the foreign real estate investment taxation issue. We're not claiming that they should or shouldn't, but we're simply hosting a conversation. And you can see here the kinds of traffic we're getting in terms of the number of reactions, the number of shares, and the number of comments. And we would really welcome you to join our comment stream, take our Facebook posts, add them to your own stream, and I think we will all benefit from having more professionals inside of these conversations and contributing not only their expertise, but also their being able to build their own personal brands. So the last piece, because I know we're running out of time here, that I want to launch is, when you see a controversial real estate story, will you skip it, read the summary, open it, share it, or comment? We've got results coming in: 33%, 42%, 50%. Okay, 58%. Anyone else want to vote? Last moment. Okay, we're at 67%. I should close the poll for time. So what we got in terms of the results are no one would choose to skip it. Yay, I'm very proud to hear that. 13% would choose to read the summary. 25% of you would open it. 13% of you would share it. And 50% of you would comment. And that's really encouraging. I do hope to see many more comments on these posts, whether they're on 2x4 and other spaces, or even at the kinds of gatherings that we're involved in. And we're also happy in the same way that Wade offered to help you navigate this space. Wade?
Thanks so much, Adam, and I think you've done an excellent job bringing up some powerful points about why RE/MAX agents may want to consider voicing their opinions on various social media topics that emerge online, even if they are controversial. So for everyone who's tuned in here, when Adam and I were first starting to plan this webinar, I was a little bit nervous when he sent me the proposed topic because since joining RE/MAX nearly 2 years ago, oftentimes I've been suggesting that, agents avoid controversial subjects as they don't want to tarnish their reputations by offending potential clients. But after hearing some of Adam's reasoning, I do agree with a lot of the things he has explained today. However, I did think it was important to add a few comments or perhaps warnings to make sure that this webinar isn't taken as a license to say whatever you want on social media, because that can be incredibly dangerous. So the picture on your screen right now, it's a shot of the colorful crosswalks in Kelowna's downtown that were painted last year in support of the LGBT community. Many people in Kelowna loved the fact that City Council decided to paint the sidewalks. One woman, however, who actually happened to be a real estate agent, don't worry, she's not with RE/MAX, didn't like the colored crosswalks. And rather than keeping that opinion to herself, she made it well known on social media and through several local media organizations. She said that she would fight the crosswalks all the way to the Supreme Court, as she was disgusted that council would support the LGBT community. So thousands of Kelowna residents commented on this story, showing their anger toward the real estate agent who is sharing her hateful views so openly. The thing is, we all have opinions, and there are some issues that we feel quite strongly about. However, there are those times when I truly believe posting these viewpoints or hurtful comments, especially on social media, can do more harm than good. So earlier in the webinar, Adam brought up a great point about the fact that we are used to chatting about real estate at house parties and business meetings, and really in many aspects of life. Therefore, social media really shouldn't be treated any differently. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. But just as you are probably likely to be respectful at a cocktail party or in a business meeting, we need to keep in mind that that goes the same on social media. So if we're presenting our views in an informed and constructive manner, I think we can really grow our reputation as an expert and a valuable resource through social media. However, here at head office, there have been plenty of examples that have come our way of agents voicing rude and controversial social media sentiments through posts, such as when an election result doesn't go their way, or maybe there's another topic they don't agree with. Adam brought up the point before about Trump looks like he's going to definitely be the Republican candidate going into the federal election there, and I'm sure some of you might have an opinion on that. But think about if you were an NDP voter in Alberta when the election results came in, you might be pretty livid with some of the things that were posted on many RE/MAX agent social media accounts. And it's not just because they have a different opinion, but it's because they were saying things such as, how could Albertans be so stupid? How could they do that? What were they thinking? Etc. Calling people names. So my warning really comes down to using common sense and being respectful of other people's opinions when engaging in uncomfortable social media conversations. Remember that anyone and everyone can see what you post, and that it may take longer to build a positive reputation than it could potentially take to damage a good reputation if you're not careful with that post. So that's my warning. I think Adam had a lot of good advice here, but still be respectful, still think about when you're posting comments, don't be hurtful to other people. You don't want to hurt a reputation that you've spent so long building. With that, I'll hand it back over to Adam. Adam, feel free to take it away. Just having a little trouble hearing your audio.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks,
no problem.
Wade.
You're back on now.
Yeah, so I just want to say that I forgot to take it off mute. That this has been a collaborative presentation, and I so respect Wade's expertise in having been involved in watching many of these social media conversations transpire over the past couple of years, as he said, and I think it's a really an evolving space, and I think that we are both very interested in talking with you on an ongoing basis and sharing learnings about how to do this well. I think that clearly there is an opportunity, and I think that what we hope you take away from this is that there really is an opportunity to stand out and to show whether you're aiming for millennials or not, there's an opportunity to really showcase what you stand for, and more importantly to help with the collective problem of reputation in the real estate profession. And that I think that it will go a long way towards public sentiment to have more professionals that are weighing in, even if you choose not to weigh in on the controversial side of an issue, but even being present in conversations that are happening on social media about the industry will go a long way to improving the reputation, not only of the industry, but also it will come back to have advantage for yourself. So if there are, I know we're over time. If you have additional questions, any questions, you can feel free to type them in now. We're happy to answer those here. I also would encourage you, if you would like to ask any questions, I didn't put my email up there. It's you can send them at info@2by4.com. You can always include me personally, at Adam Lur or at 2by4 in any kind of tweets or in Facebook posts. You can mention us as well. And if you are interested in joining 2by4, we would love to have you, and you can see the URL here. And there's, as Wade alluded to at the beginning, we're a partner of RE/MAX of Western Canada, which means you guys, if you choose a paid account at some point in time, you have a discount on that account. So are there any questions that anyone wanted to bring up? Wade, I don't see any questions. So
Not seeing any questions here, but feel free to, if you're typing it out, keep typing. You can still post it. But if there are no questions, I want to thank everyone who tuned in today, and a big thank you to Adam for taking the time to really share this message, share this insight, a lot of good points for all of us. Also, we've recorded today's webinar, and it will be available later in the day on our region update website. That's remax-western.ca/blog, or if you search RE/MAX of Western Canada on YouTube, this will be available on the YouTube channel as well. So not seeing any questions, so I just want to thank everyone for tuning in today, and have a great day. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you. Bye-bye.